Hi, everybody. Doug Jenkins with the Findlay Hancock County Chamber of Commerce. I'm joined by one of our board members, Brian Young, and we're here to talk a little bit about what it is the Chamber does in the community. And everybody knows there's networking, there's marketing, there's all sorts of different things. But, Brian, one thing that we don't talk a lot but we do a lot of, is advocating for businesses. You've been instrumental in that as a board member, but that's a big, big thing about what we do around here.
Yeah, Doug. I think that's one of the aspects of the chamber that is not always the first thing that people think of. They think of the ribbon cuttings and all the other activities that the chamber does. But one of the really important activities that the chamber does is watching out to what's going on the legislative side or from boards or other groups that could potentially have impact on local businesses or even the economy.
Mhm.
And we, as a chamber and some of the activities that we do with the board, we look specifically at how some legislation, either in Washington or Columbus or here in the county or city, could potentially have an impact on a business. And I think one of the nice things about the chamber is that most small businesses don't really have the time to kind of focus on what bills are being introduced in Columbus or in Washington and how it might affect their business. And so the chamber sort of is that watchdog to kind of say, check, make sure that we understand what's going on. And then when it's appropriate, to make sure that the members know that there is potential legislation out there that could affect their business.
Well, 2020, a big example of why it's important that we do that, and finding that there was a lot of things happening in Columbus, obviously, throughout the year, and trying to make sure that our members have a voice in what that process is. Certainly, we don't get everything we want, but we make sure that our members' voices are heard.
Exactly. And 2020 is a perfect time to kind of look back. And, there were a lot of small businesses who probably were not extremely active or were not active at all in any kind of government activity. And 2020 was a perfect example of, something coming from left field, not knowing that, some meetings, some ramifications of, legislators or other elected officials could have on their business. And while probably 2020 was an extreme, even just over the course of the last several years, there have been a lot of pending legislation out there that could have pretty major impact. It could be on taxes, it could be on some of the regulations. And, a lot of times people think of legislation and you see the stories and the headlines about how something might impact a really, really large company. Mm-hmm. But the reality is that a lot of the legislation kind of flows through and could impact, a small businesses, taxes, how they could potentially change. It could affect, somebody like a salon or a restaurant and some of the activities that they have going on. And so it's not always just some big company in New York or the West Coast that could be targeted for some of this legislation.
Well, and a little closer to home, a couple of the things that we do: voter reports. We get those out before every election so people can know how candidates feel about different business policies that they might impact. And also, we do our legislative roundtables about once a quarter, where you actually get a chance to talk to some of the people who will be making these decisions.
Yeah, I mean, both of those things are activities that I think are really important for the community. The voter report, historically, the chamber will go to any offices that have that there are candidates running. It gives the candidates an opportunity to specifically address in their own words what their feelings are and how they could potentially affect or benefit the business community. But then those reports also allow chamber members, and I think we also posted on the website so the general public can also see how candidates answer questions. And they're usually very targeted towards business. And so while there are a lot of activities that say a state representative or a county commissioner might be dealing with that could affect individuals. The target of the voter report that the chamber puts out is more business related, and so it's very focused on the activities. You see a lot of comments about how it could affect the economy or employment, those kind of things, and those are the activities that we're interested. Not saying that the other activities aren't important, and they may be important to your business in a different way, but this is kind of just general, kind of the business focus of it. So, I think that's really important for both the candidates to have an opportunity to explain how they feel, and then also, letting folks, hear about it. The other thing that usually we do in those voter reports too is a lot of times they'll talk about potentially a, if there's a levy that is affected. I think we've had library levy, or some of the social services in the county. A lot of times we'll focus on that, and so it's also again, those tend to also kind of focus from the business side and how local businesses could be impacted from those levies, a little differently than just being a resident and being assessed at at your home.
So, Brian, you've been on our board and tuned into the legislative side thing for a while now. And I think the $1 million question people will ask is, you do all these things, do the politicians then listen? And I think that's what people want to know when it comes to some of the work we do. I know that when it comes on the local level, certainly you've talked to a lot of people at the state level too, but we have the ability to bend their ear. Do you believe they're listening?
I really believe they are. I mean, the reality is that you have to put yourself in their position, and depending on their background, they're going to have different experiences or just understanding of different businesses. So if someone comes from a family perhaps that has a small business in their family, they're going to understand those kind of things. But perhaps the person we're dealing with may have come through maybe as an educator, or they could have come through a larger business. And all of those experiences, the elected officials kind of have different backgrounds. So one of the things that you need to realize is that they don't know everything about everything, and I think the best elected officials and legislators will tell you that right up front, saying that this might not be your industry, might not be something that I'm that familiar with, or your particular situation. But, part of the experience is explaining to them how potential legislation could impact your business. Or, if you're trying to get legislation passed, saying, these are the kind of things that currently aren't working for us, that might be, an impediment that government is putting out there. And these are some suggestions, because, not only do they want the background, but then a lot of times they'll say, well, what is the solution, or what would you, what would you suggest would be the way for us to go forward? So, I really do believe that that they listen. Honestly, the more local, I think we have a lot of great township trustees out there. It's sort of a thankless job, being responsible for that. Again, the chamber's had a great relationship with, I think, all of our local officials. Many of them serve on our boards or participate, in a lot of the sessions that we have. So, we're around them pretty frequently, and they're always, very interested in knowing, how the businesses are doing, and if legislation has passed, sort of, asking how it's affected. Has it been good, bad? How it has affected, all the different kinds of businesses that are out there.
All right. Well, Brian, I appreciate you taking some time out here today to talk a little bit about how the chamber works to advocate for business. Again, like you said, it's kind of that unsung thing that we do, but something that we enjoy doing.
Exactly, and I think I think one of the things that I've seen over the years is that there are a lot of folks who even might feel a little uncomfortable dealing with an elected official, and so I think the chamber is another kind of avenue for them to kind of say, this is something that's affecting my business. I don't really know how to act. And, the chamber is a great way to, bring people together, a business owner and an elected official. We've had roundtables, we've had, other kind of activities where we've been able to bring people together. Sometimes it's a specific subject. Other times it's just kind of more of an open roundtable, and it kind of gives a comfort level to those business owners who don't do this every day, or who are a little intimidated with government. And I think that's one of the great things that the chamber does, to kind of make sure that that aspect of kind of watching out for what the government might be doing and how it could affect their business, is there. And I think that's one of the, I believe that that's one of the most important activities that the chamber does. And they do a very good job of keeping tabs of what's happening.
So thank you for your help in those efforts. And of course, if you ever have any questions about how we're advocating for your business here at the Findlay Hancock County Chamber, you can always get a hold of me. I'm Doug Jenkins. You can email me djenkins@findlayhancockchamber.com or 567-429-7076. Brian, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Doug.
Well, we'll see you next time here on the Chamber of Commerce YouTube channel.